I had seen him at work there. He sat at a small table with all his papers spread before him. He would call out to me, "Prepare a fresh pen." Then he wrote with a fury, scarcely pausing. His thoughts were so swift. So he did not pause to reflect. There was no need. He reflected the world. He was pleased with his work. He was aware of his own genius. Now, Mr. Beaumont, I gather that you were with Mr. Chatterton on the afternoon before his death. That is perfectly correct, sir. Can you explain to us the circumstances of your final meeting? We were reading epitaphs in the churchyard of St. Pancras. A strange undertaking. We were simply passing by.
This would be a fine place for a romance, Sam. Making love among the long dead. Speaking of sweet things when the winding sheets are just beneath us. Having her against one of these old tombs. Kissing lips that will one day be threaded with worms. Oh, what of this one, Sam? Here lies Emily, a martyr to her nerves. Well, she should not have lived in London. Oh, what of this? Died of a goiter. Never is a goiter. Ah, here's one that rhymes weep with seat. His name was Daniel. I hope that he is enjoying all the comforts of Christianity. I request them not, for I am no Christian. I need to turn Muhammad. Seriously, help!
Tom was so deep in thought at one specimen of verse that he stumbled unawares into a grave just freshly dug. I helped him out. I am happy to help the resurrection of genius.
Oh, my dear friend, I do not feel the sting of a speedy dissolution. I've been at war with the grave for some time and will not be vanquished by it yet.
I never saw him again.
Everyone agreed without examining the evidence that the young poet, the genius, must have committed suicide from poverty, from neglect, from starvation. But it didn't happen. It was not like that at all.
Sam, I am in funds. I'm guinea rich.
How so? Highway robbery?
Easier. I've just come from the Shoe Lane Coffee House where I fell in with Mr. John Seymour of the London Journal.
The Seymour?
The very same. Now, he promises me 2 guineas if I will write an ode in praise of porcelain pigs. His brother has a manufactory in Clapham.
Noble subject, Tom.
Now, I can rhyme porcelain with coarse linen, but I cannot find a rhyme for pig as yet.
That was not his only commission. He had an abundance of work, more work than he could manage.
How do you know?
Do you remember the day I was late?
Well, I'm sorry, I can't talk now.
Hello.
Yes, I will.
Who was that?
Sister friend, I have been standing here for ages.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was working and forgot the time. And I have found some material that changes everything. I've gone through all the London periodicals for those 4 months of 1770. I was looking for the initials TC, and I found them everywhere. An ode on the sperm whale found in the Thames, the London Remembrancer. Elegy on the Negro slave girl left for dead under London Bridge, the Annual Register. A consideration of the latest news from the Americas, a satire, the Gentleman's Journal. On the child born with 2 heads, the Town and Country magazine. Huh?
I said I've been here for ages. All you ever think of is your work.
That's the most important thing.
What? Did I hear you say that?
Ruth.
I should just walk away. I should just leave you here.
And go to Ralph,
And why not?
because he's not a scholar. I've just proved that Chatterton was not poor at all. In 4 months he wrote some 53 articles. I have counted them.
Chatterton has got into your head.
The poverty of authors, Sam, is a common observation, but not always a true one. No author can be poor who understands the arts of booksellers. Without this knowledge, the greatest genius might starve, and with it, the greatest dunce may live in splendor. This knowledge I've pretty well dipped into. Now, let me see. Do you follow these calculations, Samuel? Lost by Alderman Phillips's death in promised work, the sum of £1.11 and 6pence. Will gain in elegies lamenting Phillips's death the sum of 2 guineas. Will gain in satires celebrating Phillips's death the sum of 3 guineas. He's a poor author who cannot write on both sides of a question. Total gain would be the sum of 5 guineas. So, deducting his promise of work, I'm glad he is dead by the sum of £3.13 and 6pence.
A high price for him to pay.
So you see, Ruth, he was not unhappy. He was not frustrated by his life in London.
Let me see that painting again. Look. There are scraps of paper scattered over the floor. He must have torn up his manuscripts in a fit of despair.
Perfectly reasonable conjecture. What would be more obvious than in an act of mad dismay, he tried to get rid of the work that had caused him nothing but unhappiness?
It does happen.
But that was not the way it happened. There was a biographer, you see, who interviewed Chatterton's surviving friends and relatives some years later. He came upon Chatterton's nephew, Edmund, who had shared a room with the poet in Shoreditch.
He would often look steadfastly into a person's face without speaking or seeming to see that person for a quarter of an hour or more, until it became quite frightful. During all that time, sir, his thoughts were gone about something else. He used to sit up almost all the night, reading and writing. I was afraid to lie with him. I thought of him as a spirit, sir, that never slept. He never came to bed until very late, sometimes 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and was always awake when I woke. He got up at the same time as I did, about 5 or 6. And this was the curious thing, sir. Almost every morning, the floor was covered with pieces of paper not so big as 6pences. I took them to be his poetins. He had torn them to pieces before he came to bed. He did not want anyone to read them. Yep, that's what I believe.
So the scraps of paper were not the product of grief or of despair, but of secrecy.
So why did he take poison?
I'm coming to that.
Do you ever make love, Sam?
No. I buy it ready-made. The whores of London are very obliging.
May I tell you then of my act of darkness?
Do. I'm at home in the dark.
It was my landlady, Mistress Angel.
Ah, it is always thus.
Well, I was leaning from my window, savouring the night air, when I heard a woman singing. And when I looked down, I see Mistress Angel drunk to the last degree, knocking upon the door of her own house and demanding admittance.
Oh, Tom, she was to be had.
So I slipped down the stairs, not wishing her to wake the street.
Or wake in the streets.
And no sooner did I unlatch the door when she fell into my arms.
You scoundrel, you. You took her at once.
Assuredly, this angel has no wings. She had been to the jelly house, so I made bold to advance my hand under her covered way, and found her to be a woman. "Oh, Mr. Chatterton," she says. "Oh, Mr. Chatterton, I'm only charging you 6 shillings a week." And she hangs on to me like ivy around a tower. And then you know what begins to stir.
Your prickle, naturally. You're familiar. Con amore.
And when she feels it